On today's video, we are breaking down buying new construction, and we're going to talk through 5 pros and 5 cons that you should think about before you purchase new construction. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jordan Pyle. If this is your first time here, I am your go-to Chicago real estate agent. I run a team called Pyle Residential. We've been servicing the city of Chicago for the last 8 years, helping buyers, sellers, and investors accomplish their real estate goals. So if we can help you, feel free to reach out down below in the description, and there's a real estate strategy call link there that you can click on for us to set up a call to chat about where you're at, where you're looking to go, and how we can help you get there. So without further ado, if this has been helpful for you today, this information here regarding new construction properties, feel free to reach out. We could also get you connected with a list of new construction properties throughout pretty much any area in Chicago. And if this has been helpful, please leave a like, comment down below, and definitely be sure to hit the subscribe button before you go so you can catch all the future videos. All right, into the video. All right, so let's start with the pros. Let's start with the first pro, and then we'll shift over to a con. And the first pro of buying new construction, specifically here in Chicago, is that it is brand new. Obviously, it's new construction. But there's just something to be said, and I personally just love the feeling of walking into a brand new property. Nobody's ever lived there, it's clean, you have brand new finishes, usually top of the line and very on trend for what the current day and what the current buyer wants. So new construction properties, obviously the fact that they're brand new, you also have brand new appliances, mechanicals, so there's really no maintenance in that regard. That would be the first pro of buying new construction, is it's spick and span and you're the first owner of that property. So on the flip side here, the con of this is that you also pay a premium for new construction. So at least here in Chicago, typically what we see is that you're normally not gonna have a lot of negotiation power against a developer in a new construction project. And essentially what you can do sometimes is you can get different credits and allowances kind of included, or some different things that are added in terms of selections throughout the process. But a lot of times the developer, when they're selling new construction, they really wanna ensure that they're getting top dollar and that they're getting the published price to the public to say a certain thing, so that when they go on to their next development, they can say, hey, look where all of these ones sold. So really they try to adhere to the listing price, but I do see there being sometimes some negotiation or some wiggle room after going under contract or during the negotiation process after submitting an offer, in order for you to get a few incentives thrown in for that purchase price without any additional charge. So if you're gonna go up against a developer in a negotiation with their agent, just know that you might have to pay full ask, but don't be afraid to maybe ask for a few things here or there. Some examples, this could be something like, a wine fridge added here, or can they paint the doors a certain color, or the trim around the windows a certain color? Is there stuff like that that they can do? Basically, that's really easy for a developer and the developer's construction team to do. That doesn't cost them a lot more. And a lot of times they'll throw that in just because it's not like they're actually coming down on price. They're just having a little bit more work added to the scope of work for that unit. So that would be the other thing though, is you're paying a premium for that. So the con of all this is that you're getting in new construction, it's brand new, but you're gonna have to pay a little bit of a premium on the market price. And that's just kind of the way new construction is. All right, so the second pro, which is kind of related to the fact that it's brand new, but basically there's low or no ongoing maintenance and upkeep. So the fact that you have brand new appliances, the mechanicals, the roof is brand new on the building, the block or the brick on the sides of the building, everything's just been done. So there's nothing that you're gonna have to do for probably, I would say minimum 3 years, but I would say 5 to 7 years is probably the duration of time you could buy new construction, live in that property, and not actually have to come out of pocket for anything significant during that time frame. So again, I think that's probably about 5 to 7 years, and then at that 5 to 7 year mark, normally there's some different building ongoing maintenance and things like that you're going to want to start thinking about, and also just making sure your appliances and your mechanicals and your units are being well serviced, and obviously increasing the longevity of those. But the great thing about new construction is that you have very low ongoing maintenance and upkeep. So the second con of buying new construction here in Chicago is that you have to work with a developer's contract. So basically when you're getting ready to make an offer on the property, you have to reach out to the listing agent, say, hey, can you please send me the developer contract? And the reason I don't like this is because the developer's contract is actually written, and it's basically hired out to be written by an attorney on behalf of the developer. So it just protects the developer more than it does the buyer, where in a typical transaction, whether you're using the condominium contract or the multi-board contract, both of those actually are more in the favor of the buyer in the way that they're written versus the seller. So on the developer side, it's just not traditional, and typically it's stacked in the favor of the developer. So you're just going to want to be extra careful there, knowing what you're getting yourself into, knowing what the credit situation looks like, when money goes hard at different situations or different time frames throughout the process, and maybe just have your attorney look it over before you actually fully execute it. But just don't hang up the process of actually getting a deal done to review the contract. That's just kind of a leap of faith. You're gonna have to go under contract and proceed by getting that contract from the developer, submitting that on behalf of yourself, or for me as the buyer's agent on behalf of my clients. And then from there, once we're under contract, we can kind of go through the different due diligence periods with our attorney to make sure that if we need to back out of the deal, we're protected by these different contingencies. All right, so the third pro of buying new construction is that you can select your finishes and the ability to customize. Everyone loves to be able to get into a project early enough where basically they still have a few options or selections, aka some finishes that they can select. A lot of times I see this being that people want to come in and they want to customize the floor color to their liking, or maybe the developer planned to do the cabinets in this shade of gray, but they actually wanted them to be a darker cabinet, something like that. Or maybe they're putting, this type of glass backsplash in the kitchen and they would prefer it to be subway tile for the backsplash. So if you can get in early enough into a project, a lot of times you can customize and select some of these finishes as long as they fall within the parameters of what the allowances are for those specific items. So meaning you might have an allowance for the floors of X dollars per square foot of flooring, or for paint, or for cabinets, or for the handles on the cabinets. It might be that you have $3 per handle as the allowance. And as long as you're within that amount, typically you can get these customizations and these selections done for free. But oftentimes what I end up seeing is that people get out of control with this. So I guess this is a pro, but I'm also gonna put this in the category as the third con, is that the ability to customize and to choose selections can also lead to you going overboard on your budget. So a lot of times it ends up being that it's okay, well, that's going to cost you an extra $2,500 for that thing, and then the next thing is, okay, that's an extra $1,000 for that. This is going to be an extra, $2,200. By the end of the day, you end up being a lot more, because of your customizations, way over your budget than what you intended. So even though it's a beautiful thing to be able to select these things and customize, if you had all the money in the world, this is amazing. Just know that you're gonna have to do a little bit more work as well through the process to be able to pick out what you want and communicate that to your agent and communicate that to the other side so that the developer knows what to install. So that's number 3 across the board, pros and cons. All right, the fourth factor about new construction that I love is just the efficiency factor. So nowadays everything's being built that's a little bit more environmental friendly. So the HVAC systems are being installed and they're using ones that are more high efficiency. They just run better, they use less energy overall. So the fact that you can buy new construction, typically it's gotta be up to scale and up to code and up to the current trends. So normally with that, just kind of as a natural side effect, is you're gonna get a more efficient unit. So what this does though as well, and what makes it a pro, is that this is gonna reduce your monthly utility bills. So your electric bill, your gas bill, things like that, these are gonna be reduced because you have high efficiency HVAC systems and different mechanicals and components in your unit that are more high efficiency and environmental friendly. Okay, number 4 of the con, and this is the one that I want to just stress more than anything because this is where I see the most conflicts. And this is why I would say if you're thinking new construction, you really want to listen to this because this is where things could hit the fan. And this is basically difficulty in negotiations and in basically ensuring that promises and contractual obligations are being met from the developer, right? So I'm just gonna give you an example, and a lot of times I see post-closing that there's essentially, when you buy new construction, you can't really do an inspection right out of the gate. You can do one to check all the mechanicals and the appliances and things like that, but really you're gonna have to wait till the project's complete for you to get that full inspection. So a lot of times this results in what's called a punch list, which is all the items in the unit that need shored up, or there's things that are misaligned, or things that shaved down on a door, or a few handles are missing, or there's scuffs on the walls. This is that punch list, right? So typically the way it reads in a contract is that these items can be repaired and they survive post-closing up to 30 days. So that gives the developer 30 days after closing to make sure these things are done. So what sometimes happens is people are moving into properties and items are unfinished. So more times than not, I see that with new construction, closing timelines are pushed. They may say that the development is going to be completed and move-in is going to be on this date, and it honestly could be another 4 to 6, 8 weeks later. I've seen people's closings be delayed 3 to 4 months buying new construction, and thankfully they were able to do it because of their current living situation. You really have to take into consideration timeline and just kind of, I guess, the word of the developer to actually do what they say they're gonna do, and to make sure that everything is in writing and that you dot all your T's and cross all your I's to make sure that you have basically a trail, a paper trail, to ensure that the things you know that need to be completed in your unit are finished in a timely fashion. That's a con for sure. You want to think about this stuff because there's a little bit more management throughout this process, and you're going to have a few more conflicts with, you know, developers. You're just a number basically, you know, not to throw developers under the bus, but they're looking at just achieving a certain price for their units, and they're going to have, you know, anywhere between 3 to 6, or if it's a larger development, they're gonna have all these different buyers that are basically just names on a piece of paper, right? So if you put yourself in their shoes, they don't know you, they really don't have any emotional tie to you or this transaction. There's a lot of times where it just can become a little bit difficult working on new construction and developers. All right, the fifth and final pro of buying new construction, and I think I'm just gonna summarize this by saying that is that you have preferred floor plans. So I think nowadays, you know, developers build based on what they see and the type of responses and input they get from previous projects, or a successful project that was built down the street from a different developer that sold out quickly, and it had these specific types of floor plans. And what I mean by that is that might be in a certain area of the city, it might be that doing bigger units is what the market is looking for, right? And sometimes it might be that we're actually wanting to do micro units here. So basically what I'm trying to say is developers kind of know the trends in the market and what people are saying and what they desire. So they're gonna build these properties based on desired floor plans. So now when you get inside these units, you're gonna have different floor plans that are gonna be available within different developments. However, most of these floor plans are gonna feel very functional because they're taking in all the advice and all the inputs of the consumer to make sure that they're delivering and building a product that is gonna be well received from the consumer. So the good thing about this is a lot of these floor plans are nice and livable. Sometimes they get a little bit on the small end, so you just want to make sure that you're finding something that feels good to you. But I find that is a pretty common thing when I'm looking at new construction, is that the floor plans are starting to make a lot more sense and are a lot more functional. All right, and the fifth con, to wrap this whole video up, I know this has been a little bit of a longer one, so thanks for staying with me. If you're still here, I appreciate it. Before you go, definitely, if you're not subscribed already, be sure to do so. Leave a like on this video and comment down below any questions you have about new construction. And also, I could send you a list of new construction properties if you want that. Just put your email down below, or feel free to DM us down below and comment, and we can get in touch with you privately and get your information. Without further ado, let's get on into the fifth and final con of buying new construction. Fifth con of buying new construction is that not all builders are created equal. And what I mean by this is basically some builders build in a quality and in a fashion that's different than others. So some developers, you really want to look into basically their name, you know, what their reputation is. Some builders are known to cut corners and oftentimes have a lot of issues post-closing. So a lot of times what might happen is, you know, you sell out a building of, let's just call it 6 units that a developer built and basically sold over to 6 new owners, and then next thing you know, there's a bunch of flooding coming through the windows, or you know, the flooding on the lower level of the building, the plumbing hasn't been done correctly. So a lot of times you're gonna have these buildings that basically they get released from the developer, and then they end up having all these issues, and then obviously that affects the builder's reputation. So you just want to know who the good builders are in the market, who builds and delivers a quality product, you know, who goes the extra mile to make sure that the finishes are high quality, and that everything is kind of grooved together in the right way to make sure that the building is sound and secure, and that you're not going to have any basically incurred costs or liability once you close on the property. So that would be the fifth con. But overall, this is my list, my 5 pros, my 5 cons of buying new construction properties here in Chicago and in general, but specifically I'm talking to the Chicago market, any buyers that might be looking to buy here. Again, my name is Jordan Pyle. Thank you for tuning in and sticking with me for this video. I know it's been a long one, but I appreciate your time, and if this has been valuable to you, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.